This is Leaf Life. All things cannabis for all people. Now, Ricker and the Bearded Lorax.
We publish a free magazine called The Leaf that is available in print in 14 states at your local cannabis retailer and also available online at leafmagazines.com. My name's Mike, last name's Ricker, your host of Leaf Life, and my co-host and partner Wes Abbey sitting right here, also known as the Bearded Lorax.
I speak for the trees.
And of course there's AJOG.
Hola, aloha OG.
And Mary J. White.
Baked with love.
As the plant mycology movement continues to emerge, much focus has been applied to their medicinal effects for mental and physical fortitude. But what secrets is these fungi hiding, and how do they make us more fun guys? This is mushrooms.
Better to be a fungi than a fungal guy.
Oh yeah.
Nice, Wes.
Our first segment, an alternative medicine. And in the second segment, the modern market. What's it all on? You know, it's emerging, right? Before we get educated, however, we've got to get medicated. So let's get stoned. Yep. All right. This has begun. We are off to the races, and wherever your day has led you, now it's time to fire up, chew up, drink up, get the cannabinoids in your system as we introduce this show's Greg the Guinea Pig.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Greg the Guinea Pig. Who's our guest this week?
Greg the Guinea Pig warning. These tasks are undertaken by experienced cannabis users and under the supervision of accredited professionals. So please take our advice and definitely try this at home.
Yeah, we're professionals. Actually, I think after the first time you smoke weed, you're a professional for the most part.
so.
Yeah. It's those rookies that get in trouble, you know? But
I don't know about that.
A real professional right here, Nathan Webb, is the lab director for DABSTER Concentrates Company here in Washington State. He's also a mycology expert. Nathan, welcome to the Leaf Life Podcast.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Hey, man, he's got his notes. He's ready to talk about some shrooms. But first, we got to find out what he's going to be hitting. So let's spin that wheel and see what's in AJ's stash.
And now, what's in AJ's stash?
All right, AJ, what do you got today?
All right, y'all. It looks like we've got some California live resin coming to us. This is a Runtz premium THC all-in-one device. Excited to see this. This is 1,000 milligrams, y'all.
Oh, yes, please.
Oh my goodness, an indica here. This is a rechargeable and disposable.
All in one.
All in one. Are you going to be partaking today, sir?
Absolutely.
Of course,
All
the guy's a
right,
stoner.
so
He
your
did
button's
two
here.
dabs already this morning, didn't you, Nathan?
Let me just,
Every morning.
Every morning. Wake and bake.
yeah, so let me just get this dialed in for you because
Dialing in.
I think
Nathan, what do you know about Litto?
needs to be,
This is my first time with the
Okay,
Litto
well,
device.
you're about to dive in, my dog, right into the deep end, brother.
Looks like a nice device, though.
Okay, yeah, it's Cali brand. Actually, I'm going to be honest. I was at the Network show down in Southern
There you go,
California
my
in Los
friend.
Angeles, and they had their kiosk set up with Stizzy, and so I assume that they're doing business together. Litto, obviously, here in Washington right now, in your hand and ready to be partaken in. So let's
see.
Let's hear what that tastes like.
So
right, AJ?
they're actually located in California and Oklahoma. So this is where you can find their delectable treats and products. They do edibles as well as vapes.
Oklahoma. Okay. Right, Mary?
Wow. Yes, sir.
That's a musical, right, Mary?
Sounds strong, huh?
Oklahoma.
That was a big cloud.
What's up, Mary?
No, it's delicious.
There you
Nice
go.
grapey flavor on that one.
Oh, the guy.
Oh, yeah.
What do you
That
say
is a
about that?
Runtz. Runtz for sure.
He's
Fruity and tasty and grapey. Ooh,
Yeah.
our Mary's taking a little hit.
Yeah, that's going to accentuate those 19 dabs you did this morning, Nathan. He's a lab director. The guy's got easy access to alternative medicine. And, that's what cannabis is, right? You're not going to find it at your Rite Aid or your, local pharmacy. It's alternative. So you have to find other ways to get it, as well as mushrooms, which is an emerging alternative medicine. Mushrooms used to be just about getting fucked up. Let's eat a handful and go experience another planet.
Right.
But now there's a lot more research out there and science attached to it that shows tons of benefits for people that gives it medicinal value, especially in microdoses, right?
Absolutely. The times are changing. There's a lot of new different ways to experience mushrooms these days. And different reasons for doing so.
And you make them yourself? You grow them?
Yep. I use a monotub system mostly. I have a variety of ways though. We do all-in-one bags.
Psilocybin, right?
Yeah, cubensis.
Okay.
It's not the only kind of mushroom that I grow, but that's my main focus, cubensis. And microdosing is the most popular form these days because it's something that people do every day. It's part of my routine, and it's something that most people use for depression and anxiety as an alternative to antidepressants from big pharma. And that's sort of why I got into it, to provide myself with the medicine that I need.
Yeah.
When you microdose, because I've done it and most of my friends do it, but is there a tolerance? Like, do you do the same amount every day, or do you do it every other day, or?
Yeah, generally people do a small amount every day, but they do take breaks every week.
0.1 milligrams, right?
That's a little bit on the low side, but
that's what I like.
Okay.
But I guess the average microdose is 0.25?
Yep, I would say about a quarter of a gram.
Okay.
Okay.
But to each their own, people have different, some people take as much as half a gram.
I said milligrams. What I meant was 0.1 grams.
Right.
And 0.25 grams. And other mushrooms as well can be effective with the psilocybin too. Functional mushrooms, do they accentuate the psilocybin, or are they just good for your constitution?
Well, it doesn't. It's kind of like an entourage, the way that cannabinoids and terpenes work. When you mix different species of mushrooms, lion's mane, with they call it stacking your microdose.
Okay.
So there's certain types of other mushrooms that have nootropic benefits for your brain.
Is it reishi? Is that
reishi is one?
Reishi? Okay. Yeah.
And typically these days people will add things. They'll add niacin to their microdose. Cubensis it constricts your blood vessels. So what the niacin does is open them back up, so you can accept the medicine more efficiently.
Wow.
Wow. I've heard of like curcumin and turmeric as well applied to some of these mixtures.
Sure. Yeah, people have all kinds of cocktails that they try. Probably the most common one is from Paul Stamets. It's lion's mane with niacin and cubensi.
Paul Stamets is basically the Vincent van Gogh of mushrooms.
And he's local.
Yeah, he's here in Washington
He's a
State.
Washingtonian.
Yep. A lot of good stuff from him.
What inspired you to start growing them yourself?
Well, I got my hands on some microdoses, and it just didn't seem feasible to go out there looking for mushrooms all the time, and I just wanted to provide this for myself,
So it started as a medicine for you.
Yeah. And I've never been a big fan of like big pharma antidepressants and things like that. If I can produce and take the things on my own, I will do that over going to antidepressants for one thing. I think that's one of the main reasons people take microdoses. To deal with anxiety and depression.
Grow your own. In our August psychedelia issue, we actually have a 2-page spread about how to grow your own spores.
Good.
Yeah.
Make your own mushrooms. Check it out at leafmagazines.com.
Well, if you'll learn about spores a little more than that. You don't grow a spore per se.
Start with
sounds
spores.
like someone needs to read the leaf too.
I like to start with liquid cultures or agar. It's already fast growing when you introduce it to your grain. So spores will work. That's kind of a traditional way, but there's faster ways to colonize your mycelium these days.
And we want to be clear, we don't recommend stopping pharmaceuticals if you're on a pharmaceutical regimen.
Sure.
To go on to microdoses, because that could have a potentially disrupting effect, especially with disruptors, selective serotonin, SSRI disruptors. So when you're taking microdoses for the first time, you should not necessarily consult a physician because they're going to probably tell you not to, but just be aware that there are potential interactions. And it's, there is, I think, a lot of hope for society to shift away from pharmaceuticals and into more naturopathic medicines, which is what this really should fall under.
Absolutely.
But just be careful, if you're on something.
Different paths for everybody.
You don't want to lose that stability.
But that does bring up an interesting point, though. If you're on SSRIs, it blocks your ability to take in the mushrooms. So psilocin and psilocybin are inhibited by SSRIs. So if you're on heavy doses of SSRIs, you can eat quite a bit of mushrooms and not feel much effect.
Or have to eat a lot,
Right.
too. That's what I've heard from people, is that they might be in the like 3 or 4 gram range to have just a minor effect because of the, SSRI is changing how your neurochemistry is processing serotonin and dopamine in an attempt to stabilize you from your depression. And this is obviously my non-doctor explanation.
Yeah.
Also why some people end up very depressed or in really crazy places after taking pharmaceuticals.
Right.
When you're taking psilocybin, you're also creating neuroplasticity and kind of opening your mind up for new neural pathways.
Yep.
And those two things are in conflict when you're taking an SSRI and then taking the mushrooms.
Opening up those new pathways, that's a big part of why people enjoy mushrooms.
But then if someone is on, a pharmaceutical, but they want to switch to wonderful natural medicines, original medicines, how do you titrate that? How do you figure that out?
It's tough because as we were talking about, the microdose won't do anything if you're on a lot of SSRIs. You'd have to take a macro dose that would feel like a microdose.
Okay.
So that's one way you could.
You just have to experiment. Unfortunately, it's still an unregulated market, and we'll talk about the modern market in the next segment. But first, Nathan, it's time for you to play the Weirded Lorax.
Now, can we all just get a long hair?
All right.
Weird. This is the Weirded Lorax.
Mary, you're laughing, and I haven't even begun yet.
I know, but sometimes I feel sorry for the Lorax because we always kind of make fun of him and his big beard and his farts and stuff, and I think sometimes we should be nice.
We don't make fun of his farts.
Oh, that was just me. Sorry.
Oh, goodness.
All right,
Unfortunately, they're not terpene infused.
Or was that a previous story? Which of these stories actually happened? You got to know Wes pretty well, but, you can guess, all right?
Okay.
I mean, it's very confusing. There's a lot of information here, and all 3 of them are highly plausible.
I'll give it a shot.
Only one is true, Nathan.
Okay.
All right.
You gotta hear all 3.
Okay. Number 1. After reading a book about D.B. Cooper and how the hijacker was never found, Wes decided to jump out of an airplane with a parachute somewhere between Seattle and Portland and was discovered by a family of Sasquatches who claimed to have cooked and eaten D.B. Cooper many years earlier. But they embraced the bearded Lorax as one of their brethren until he left without saying goodbye, but not before stealing a case of their fabulous salmonberry jam, which caused a rift that still simmers today.
Ooh, whoa.
Okay, that was number 1.
Salmon berries.
Yeah, it's the bearded Lorax, and they're kind of weird stories. One of them's true. Number 2. For a science project in high school, Wes received a D- when he put his chemistry expertise to work by combining 4 ounces of perspiration he gathered by squeezing out a t-shirt after an intense workout, 1 ounce of whale pheromones purchased at a very old Asian man in the International District, a full straw of pixie sticks, a handful of ground evergreen huckleberry shrubs, and the remnants of the inside of his unclean smoking device to produce a men's cologne he called Eau de Bon water. Okay, that's true. That could be true.
I like this.
Very plausible. And number 3.
Musky.
In his early 20s, while attending college, Wes took a job with a moving company after they lured him into employment by making the job sound fun, in that it was like playing a giant game of Tetris. But he was soon after fired after pulling out a chaise lounge from the back of a truck, which made the entire contents come crashing down onto the street, to which he jubilantly yelled, Jenga!
Oh,
1, 2, or 3, and
It's got to be the third one, right?
Of course it is, brother. We all know that Sasquatches didn't eat D.B. Cooper.
That's right. They're vegan.
Do we?
I thought so.
the Weirded Lorax. Hey, if you want to discover cannabis news, reviews, entertainment, and culture, and explore every single Leaf magazine at your convenience, search leafmagazines.com. Coming up in our second segment, we'll dive into what the modern mushroom market is like and how it's evolving. We'll get another spin of AJ's wheel and kick it all off with another episode of Who Does That with Mary J. White. Leaf Live continues in just a moment.
These products have intoxicating effects and may be habit-forming.
Marijuana can impair concentration, coordination, and judgment.
Do not operate a vehicle or machinery under the influence of this drug.
There may be health risks associated with consumption of these products.
For use by adults 21 and older.
Keep out of the reach of children.
Some of the wardrobe, including Ricker Wes's sick lids, is provided by Grassroots California. Check out the dopeness at grassrootscalifornia.com.